All right, everybody, we are back. We took a week off last week, and we've got Al
And why
Charpentier
was
with
that,
us.
Art? Why did we take a week off last week? Come on, let's be
Uh,
honest.
my
Happy
dog,
anniversary.
my dog ate my homework.
No.
No, it was
Happy
my
anniversary to you and your wife.
15-year anniversary. So I said, you know what, family first. Although all you people out there are also family, but family first. You know, it's 15 years is a pretty big mark. I did not get Crystal. Apparently, that is the gift that you're supposed to give. But we went out to eat, just spent some time together, and actually had spent some time with the kids and looked at old pictures and reminisced. Both of
See,
you have
this is
kids.
what our life used to be like. We
I
used to
know
be awesome. Then
we
we had
still are.
kids.
We're a little different now. But yeah, but we're back, and we got Al from Sketchbot, from Picture Mosaics, from Drone 360 Drone. I'll be corrected all night long. He's also a fellow Penn State alumni, right?
We are.
We are.
PSU. So let's hear it out. I mean, we know you, but the rest of the folks would love to hear more about your story. You have a lot of cool things you want to tell. So tell us how'd you get started?
Yeah. And am I coming? I mean, it got pixelated once we went live. Are we good? Can you see
Yeah,
me all right?
we
All
are
right.
good. The internet's gonna like last 2 weeks ago. The internet turned Dave's voice into Darth Vader's voice, so that could
That was
happen.
weird.
Yeah, it wasn't me. That was the actual internet doing that. So it's not perfect, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, just making sure people we were all on the same page. No. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Always talking with you guys. So, yeah, the picture mosaic story. Just jumping right into it. Around 1998, 1999, I got my first digital camera. It was I think it was just about 1 megapixel. And amassed about 3 or 4 years of taking photos. I amassed probably 3 or 4 thousand photos at Penn State and Summers and et cetera. And so I sat back and we're all just sitting on my hard drive. What am I going to do with all these photos? And this is, not many people had digital cameras at that point. Maybe you're still going to your Kodak shop and having them print. So you print out a couple and like, all right, well, what do I really want to showcase all the photos. So that would kind of had the wheel spinning of how do you do this? What mechanisms there out there already? And about 6 months of trying to do a photo mosaic or picture mosaic on my own, I realized there's not good software. There really isn't any software at this point. People printing these can't really print them. You go to a local print shop at 2001, and there wasn't much available. And it ended up being a pixelated mess. And me being an engineer, I'm like, well, I'm having trouble doing this. There's probably a market of people that would want this and have no idea how to do it. So worked a while on building the software, the website, more iterations of the software, and launched Picture Mosaics around 2001. At that point, again, nobody had digital cameras. Phones that really have good cameras, there's no way of exporting photos on your phone. They just kind of stayed on your phone at that point. You could text them to people. And so people were actually mailing in their photos. We would digitize them and then strip them out at the print. And it was quite a manual process. So, going through that phase, you realize this is really not, it's not going to be a way to make a living. You can't be scanning photos, sending these prints
Mhm.
out. You just can't have manpower to make this work. So luckily, right around 2003 or four, things of the people had started having more digital cameras, more access to phones, cameras on their phone, and it became clear that this is the way of the future. It was very clear I was kind of in the right spot at the right time. And then when Facebook kind of really kicked off, and then the iPhone in 2007,
Mhm.
2008 really was the moment we were positioned correctly to take advantage of all this digital content people were amassing and allow them to kind of create these mosaics for their personal use, whether it's a frame piece or a digital asset that they may want. So it was a matter of being in the right place at the right time with this software that really wasn't. I mean, you kind of do the math and the numbers. Like, I'm not going to be able to make more than maybe $50,000 a year if I work my ass off and still hold my job down. So the big moment was right around that time, 2007, 2008. Facebook was starting to take off, and we got a call from Pedigree to do this, what they call the Million Dog Mosaic. And we were just finishing up the technology to do interactive mosaics. And this is back in 2007 when we were using Flash and all that crazy stuff. And they, so they contacted us. We were just finishing the first version of an interactive software, and they launched the website. They got like 10,000 dogs in the first like 2 days. Our server crashed. It was a mess. So we had to, like, in a span of 24 hours, revamp everything. And then, in a period of a few weeks, I got 50,000 photos in this picture of a dog. And that was kind of the aha moment of all right, we have this way to amass photos digitally and have people interact with the mosaic. So fast forward, to 2008, getting office space, hiring more developers, really pushing the envelope from online engagement to also activations on site. Where we have a photo booth or something set up to take photos, and then having this live interactive piece take shape, whether it was on a digital screen or on the live print mosaics with the tiles. So yeah, that's the quick 2-minute dirty story there.
I like it's an incredible story, and I'm going to show something here really quick. And it really, you almost like froze your business in time. If we're going to take a look here at your website for Picture Mosaics, I mean, it looks like it was built a while ago. It's amazing, and it's really cool to see. It's like a snapshot of when you first got started. Have you changed
Yep,
that? That's the
yeah,
original
well, even, I
site?
mean, if you go back in the time machine or whatever
The
it's called,
Wayback
the
Machine.
Wayback Machine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the first version of this site back in 2001, 2002. It was pretty scary, but yeah, it's. I mean, as everybody knows, your website is a constant, hug and war of
Yeah.
content, getting people in the right spot. So there's always work to be done, and we're always making adjustments and trying to get the right content to the right audience.
No, but I love it because it really captures. It's got this like this feel to it that I absolutely love. There's all these other sites, and we're going to show your newer sites kind of represent the new era of things, which is it's perfect. I like it. So
Cool. Well, no, all feedback is good, so I appreciate it, Art.
I'm not the expert. So, but yeah. So 2001 is when it really started. That's when you took the leap into
Yeah,
Picture
well, 2000,
Mosaic.
yeah, 2001 was when I, first built the site, and I started my first employee around 2004 or five. It was kind of a one-man show for a while. Yeah, in 2008 was when I quit my day job I was working electrical engineer at AMD, the computer chip company that's in competition with Intel.
Yeah.
And I did a good job. I was making good money, and we just bought a house, my wife and I, and we had a baby on the way. And hey, by the way, Melissa, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this full time. And so it was like, are you kidding me? So it was an all or nothing deal. I had to make it work. And thankfully, the stars aligned, and again, being at the right place at the right time, and and being a little lucky. There's always a little luck involved with any business
Oh
getting off the
yeah.
ground.
Oh, that's amazing. Time. You're right. It's the timing. I mean, you had you solved a problem and you had a solution for a problem, and there wasn't any competition out there, and it was just like you said, that right moment when technology was hitting, and it made it easier for you to really help drive that. Um, but yeah, so Pedigree was your first client. That's really cool. There's some now you work with a lot of tons of corporations: Adidas, FedEx, Microsoft, Netflix, Nickelodeon, the NBA. And I assume you're still working with a lot of large clients like this, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we're in the corporate space.
Yeah.
We've done some smaller things, but I mean, as you guys know, and there's definitely a different budget gap or budget from
Oh,
one to the other. So yeah, we've stayed mostly in that space. Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. So you guys are handling a lot of big corporate clients, and you are at the Photo Booth Expo, and you've been in the photo booth industry. So how did you attack getting into the photo booth industry? What kind of, I guess, coaching or tips do you have for those who get into Picture Mosaics, and how successful they are? Like, tell us a little bit of backstory. Like, because you sell to corporate clients, but then what about the photo boothers out there? How does that,
So,
differ?
yeah, no, that's a good question. In around 2014, 15, in that range, we were at Biz Bash. It was kind of an expo that, and you may have heard of it. Usually, it's in the Javits Center in New York. And right around that time, prior to that time when we were at the show, there wasn't many photo boothers. But I think right around 2015, 2016, it went from maybe one or two to nearly 8 or 9, and potential clients will come by and go, "Well, this is the year of the photo booth." So it was really interesting. Right around that era was really, I mean, it's obvious, from PBX and you guys really launching, and they putting together the photo booth network, and how quickly it grew and just continued to grow a number of years later. So with the advent of people taking photos and the photo booth, was like, wow, this is a pretty easy transition to work, the mosaic concept into. You have an easy way for people to walk up, take their photo, versus having a photographer, right? That was the way it was done. You had a photographer taking photos. So now people could easily do it themselves and get, usually you would have 2 or 3 people taking photos. Now you can get away with one or two booths set up. So it was a pretty nice transition to allow that. Now some of our clients still like to have the photographer option, but interacting in that way was a nice transition.
That's cool.
Um,
So another, let's pivot to another thing. So as an engineer, you're always trying to solve issues, and you brought up something called selling lemonade for $1 million.
there
That's
you go. Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
You have me intrigued.
Glass of lemon.
So tell me, what do you mean by selling a glass of lemonade for $1 million?
Yeah, and I knew you guys are in the East Coast, so I don't know if you remember this game back when you were in like third or fourth grade. It was a game that really stuck with me. It was a video game. I think it was on one of the old Apple computers
Lemon
back then.
I
Yeah,
do
I
remember
do
it.
remember
Volleyball?
You screwed it up.
buying the sugar, buying the lemons, or
Yes.
it's such a long time ago.
Exactly. So I'm glad that you guys have a frame of reference. And it always annoyed me, yeah, you bought, how much sugar do you have to buy? I think you started with like $10 or something. And
Something
then,
like that, yeah.
Yep.
right,
Yep.
and how much sugar you would buy, how much advertising, how many lemons would go bad and you couldn't keep them. Where were you going to sell on a busy street, or all this stuff you kind of figure out, but then the weather might be bad and you wouldn't get any business, right? And it was always annoying to me that you couldn't innovate in that game. You had your lemons and you had your sugar, and even if the day was super hot and you're on the right street and you put your price point at like, oh, if I could just make $100 on one glass, you could never sell that glass. It was, it's just annoying that you couldn't figure out how to really improve the product where you could create an audience that would really value that at a higher price point. Because everything's perceived value. I mean, you see, for instance, like a bottle of whiskey could go for $2,000, right? I mean,
Yeah.
or more. I mean, it's all value or perceived value. So that was maybe third or fourth grade. It stuck with me. Around seventh grade, I said, I'm going to make my own lemonade game. And so I think it was in BASIC. I programmed it,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I I built it so if you had the right um, construct of advertising, the right day, the right audience, you could, and then there was a widget where you could innovate, but you have to spend a lot of money to innovate, and you can get that, what I call that special ingredient, where you could then advertise a special ingredient and sell a glass of lemonade for $100, and actually really build the business. And so, obviously you wouldn't sell a glass of lemonade for $1 million, but that was the idea that, hey, could you create a product and keep building on it, innovating it, and really become this global lemonade stand.
That is a great
Listen,
story.
It's all for what the market will pay for something. We've
Yep.
seen crazy things happen, um, you know,
Yeah.
over the years.
No.
Yeah, it really is. It's a secret sauce, right? I mean, there's for the photo boothers out there, a lot of people think that you can just buy, one piece of equipment that the next guy has, buy the same backdrop, buy the same stuff, but the successful ones find something special that makes themselves unique, their business unique, whether it's customer service, whether it is a different type of setup, whether it's, some people like I add uplights, that's a small little thing, but having just something different, right? And that's what you were lacking in the original game is I can't differentiate myself. And so that's a great story. And I think Heps, DJ, I'm going to bring this back up, says, I still teach that to my third grade class. She has a website for it. And it's a great example. And it really is that your story in itself is a great example of how everyone should approach their business. Don't do the same exact thing that somebody else does. You can use that as inspiration, but try to differentiate, try to find that secret sauce that makes you have that extra perceived value for the client. It makes it easier to sell yourself and for the price that's higher, right? You can sell your lemonade for 50 cents a glass, but if you want to sell it for $1 million, you got to differentiate.
Yeah.
Listen,
No,
there's people that sell chicken nuggets that are a piece of toast on eBay that looks like Jesus Christ, you know, for hundreds of dollars, and there are people that will buy spend absorbent amounts of money. Look
Jesus
at
nuggets.
like Pokemon cards. It's
Oh, yeah.
something so simple that now. Another example of that failed miserably were Beanie Babies because everybody bought Beanie Babies way back when, and now it's like, hey, you want how much for that? No, 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 I'll give you like 50 cents.
the other way for sure.
Oh, my gosh. So there's some other things, Al, that you could. So complete transparency here. So every episode, we kind of just have a general guideline. We send over our guest like a couple bullet points. Ladies and gentlemen, Al did quite the reverse. He sent us a full itinerary of lots of really cool stuff. So this is awesome. And I've got this list in front of me. So you're literally driving this show for us. So thank you for that. Um, there's this mystery boother topics, right? That we're gonna talk about, and you had a few on here. One that really stuck out to me was outbound sales because we all talk about how to get in leads, right? So tell us about outbound sales. What is that, and what is your advice on outbound sales?
Yeah, and some people may not even know that term. I mean, if you come from a sales background, you obviously do, but a lot of people don't, and they think, all right, well, for me to get leads, I simply have I market, whether it's Facebook marketing, Google Ads, word of mouth, but the other side of it is an outbound sale where you're actually going to a particular segment that you feel hasn't been really approached by the photo booth market, let's say, and you are presenting something that's probably new to them, right? And so the advantage there is if you're presenting something new, whether before the show we're talking about graffiti walls or flip books, if something they may have not seen before, you have their full attention. One, they're not going to be shopping around, right? Because you've come to them. They don't even know if this exists. You're calling it by whatever you're calling it, your own branded something or other. So it is a bit of work to start that outbound sales process because you do have to find them, and
Yeah.
there's lots of avenues to do that. Whether it's LinkedIn, there's a lot of sites. UpLead is one, but to generate this book of outbound. So you could probably spend a half hour or more talking about different tactics there, but it's not always just throwing marketing out there and seeing where throwing your fishing around in the pond and seeing who bites. It can go in the opposite way, and in that case, you're driving the conversation, right? You're telling them, hey, this is going to be great for for your next big corporate meeting. This is what's going to happen. So you drive that conversation, and there's really not the avenue for them to kind of shop around, right? So there's a lot of advantages, and we can definitely dive more into that, but that's the kind of the quick high level.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And there's one other topic that I think that ties directly into that, which is playing the long game. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When I saw you put these bullet points together, by the way, I didn't print them out. I re-sketched them out, so I have my chicken scratch. It's the way I roll. Which is playing the long game. So I'm going to give you an example, and it actually involves your Sketchbot. And that outbound, to me, is kind of when I go to the PBX or when I go to any convention, in my mind, my drive by going to these conventions is, yes, to see all the people that I've seen online, hang out with the other vendors, get a little bit of a vacation, but it's also to find something that's going to differentiate myself in my market. And I saw Sketchbot, and immediately it was like, that's something different that in my market they haven't really seen yet. And maybe some of them have, because I don't know who else you've worked with, because you're also in Pennsylvania. Um, but that the light bulb immediately went off in my head, and I was thinking about how can I also offer this but who would I offer it to? Um, so the outbound sales in me said, okay, who could I sell it to? That's the outbound. But then I've been playing the long game by developing relationships with a few different people over the course of the last couple of years. And I haven't really worked a whole lot with them, but now I have something that came up that I'm going to be working with them. But on top of that, I'm going to be offering the Sketchbot. And that's exactly, it plays into it, which is I'm now taking something they haven't seen before, which is Sketchbot, and bringing that to an event because that's a great opportunity. But what allowed me to do that was playing the long game and developing that relationship that I didn't get a whole lot of events off of to begin with, but I just kept nurturing that relationship until a really good opportunity came to present something perfect that would make a match for them. So I don't know if that helps.
No, 100%. No, you're hit the nail on the head. So yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, I don't have much to add there. That's a good example of an outbound trying to figure out how a new product is going to make an impact with somebody's event or an idea that they want to have an interactive or engaging experience. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even know knew it existed. They're like, wow. So hopefully next
Right.
month we're going to be debuting Sketchbot at a really, really big event. So,
Yeah,
David,
we have one right over there.
yep, it's there. Um, can we show everybody a live demonstration of it?
Yeah, we can jump right into that. Actually, before we do that, well, we
Yeah.
do have we mentioned the drones, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can save a demo of the sketch for a little, maybe in a minute or two. But
Okay.
yeah, the drones. I'm not going to fly it around in here. I don't have quite enough room, but
David,
it's been.
You touted that you don't need a lot of room to do that. Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're right. You can do like a 3-foot radius, 6-foot circle, but I then would have to do a lot of rearranging here in my little room here. But yeah, no, you don't need a lot of room. And yeah, I mean, the reason I'm bringing that up is both of these products that we introduced over the last 2 years or so really are very polarizing. When something's posted online, people are like, "This is crazy. You can't be. Drones are that's not safe, or that's just an insane idea." And the sketchbots, hey, there's no way a robot can draw well. I mean, that's nobody's going to like that, or whatever it might be. It's very polarizing. And then you have the other, maybe, hopefully, I think, just looking at the comments that go flying through, even like, maybe 70% of people, wow, that's really cool. But it is very polarizing. So, you know, knowing that when we first introduced the drone, C60 drone booth in 2022, or yeah, over a year ago or a year and a half
Hmm.
ago, we brought it to the show and we're like, what are people going to think of this? Because we just introduced it to some of our clients, and we were starting to develop the whole process. And it was a big kind of a gamble of how are people going to take this. So fast forward a year and a half, it's the clients that we've used it for. We've used it with big brands like T-Mobile. Who was the last one we just did one with? Viasat. Viasat, I've heard their name. They're government satellite. So
Okay.
they
Yeah.
were all about this. You have this aerial show happening, every few seconds, and then you have this really cool video output that similar to a standard 360 spinner booth. So but yeah, seeing something flying around until you're there seeing it, everybody that walked into the booth at PBX was like, wow, feels really safe. We have this really tiny drone spinning around. It's not flying super fast speeds. I mean, I many times try to bat it down or had my put my face into it. Nothing bad happened. So yeah, it was polarizing, and it was during that development process over the past year and a half. Safety was always at the top of our mind, and there were times where we almost gave up. We're like, this we cannot make this reliable and safe enough. And then we had an aha moment. Oh, what if we do this? And then literally the amount of ups and downs we had, and right around, I'd say the turn of like 2 months before PBX, we almost pulled the plug. We're like, you know what, we cannot get this to the point where we are 100% confidence on how safe and reliable, and obviously the cool factor, which is always there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we able to get it to that point over literally up until about monthly of the PBX. We were able to get that last little piece of of our algorithm that really made the whole thing possible. So it's those. Everybody thinks an idea has a ramp function where the idea starts, it kind of just propels itself, but really it's a step function, right? So you're here and you're paused here. You can't you're stuck. And then you have the breakthrough idea or the product launch, and it's really a step function where you have nothing and then you have something. And it's always polarizing, even in that sense, where you go from nothing to something along the way. So yeah, the step functions were pretty abrupt through that process. So yeah, I don't know if you had any more feedback there, but I know I think Dave, you did you were in the middle there at PBX of the spinner. I think we had a video of you.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the video yet.
Oh, well, I'll send it to you. You have a good one.
I really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought out of all the products, all the vendors that were there, you had the most unique product selection.
Mm-hmm.
There was always a crowd around the drone going off, and watching it, and I forget who the young guy was that was kind of manning it. He seemed to know.
She was one of our guys there. Yeah.
Yeah, he had answers to every question that people were throwing out, which was really good, and it was really impressive how simple it was, and it's something unique,
Yeah, we're still we're still in the early stages of this. With any piece of technology, you look at Google when it first became a search engine, or any real piece of technology that first launched, and you compare it to just 2 or 3 or even 10 years down the line. It's like, whoa, I can't believe that was actually a product way back 5, 6 years ago, and we used it. Yeah, we're taking baby steps, and we've had a lot of people at events give us feedback, and we're taking that feedback, building it into next versions.
Right.
DJI has not been the most easiest to work with right now. The only drone that we support that's fully functional from a stability standpoint with the video is what we call the DJI Mini SE. One good thing tidbit here, the Mini 3, they just released the SDK, which is the developer kit, which now we're really going full speed to support that as another option. The Mini 2, and anybody following our Facebook group, the 360 Drone Booth community page, knows about the Mini 2 issue of video not being able to be downloaded to the tablet in real time. So the SE, the Mini SE, and hopefully the Mini 3 are going to be the go-to drones unless DJI fixes their SDK issue. So for those that are looking a little more detail about what drones to get there.
And and linking up with Curator, because you're using Curator
Mhm.
for some of the software.
Yeah, James is awesome. He's, everybody knows he's quite the guy with all the answers.
He is awesome, and that was something that was very cool, because there were a lot of people that do use Curator, and to have that functionality kind of ready to go was awesome.
Yeah, it was direct integration. I mean, you connect the two, and really, there's no need for a PC. There's no need for shooting things up the cloud. Everything's self-contained. The iPad is actually, which his solution is really cool. And kudos to James. His is the only solution that actually does the transcoding of all the effects on the iPad. The
Right.
Zentek has to do it on the PC. The other ones are doing it up in the cloud and shooting it back down. So there's a huge advantage of allowing a high-end iPad to do that processing, because it's all self-contained, and a lot less technology. So it was great to work and get that all working.
Yeah,
That's
so for
very
those
cool.
who are watching, it's 360dronebooth.com, which I was just showing there. I'm going to show you guys a little bit again here. Got my little switcheroo. This is amazing because it's not just a circle. You've got different patterns that they can fly too, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we're already thinking. I mean, I know we're hunting down bugs and so trying to support the Mini 3. But for instance, once you have this platform that we're building, think about those big Glambot arms, right, that move in and move out. Well, heck, you don't need a big arm anymore. You can have the drone zoom in and zoom back out, and you're reproducing that motion as well. So there's a lot. This platform in its infancy stages has a long way to go, which we're really excited about.
So there's a good shot we're going to see this at the Oscars next year. Is that what you're saying?
There you go.
Right?
But it was funny. I don't know if you noticed in the Oscars how slow that arm was moving because of really the safety issue, right? You have these
Mhm.
these celebrities standing on the stage, and
They have
it looked like
insurance.
it was like a 20-second circle, because moving any faster than that, if it was moving like a 5-second circle and something fell, that's so really, yeah, that was one of the inspirations behind the drum booth.
I think that's amazing that they're afraid to move fast when these people are on sets with like guns and they're doing like high kicks. And then there's stunt people out there too. But come on. So we're gonna see drone. We're gonna see the drone, the 360 drone booth at the Oscars next year. Maybe the Grammys, right?
All right, well, let's look it
That would be
up.
really cool.
And if anybody's watching it is associated with those, reach out to Al.
If they're watching, that would be freaking. That would be amazing.
Listen, you'd be surprised at the people that like. I occasionally get comments, and even now, like when we were out at PBX, we Art and I do this just out of love of helping people, and all the people that came up to us and said, "Oh my God, I love your video. We love watching you guys,"
I had no
and
idea.
it's very touching because you know occasionally when we do this, we'll see some people pop up, and comment. People, a lot of people are watching this the next day or a
Yeah,
week later or whatever.
that's fine.
And
Whatever.
yeah, but
Um,
it's just that reaching out. It's nice to hear that people are liking the content that we're putting out. And speaking of
100%.
content, I want to
It's
send a
something I haven't seen.
congratulations out to Rex for
yeah,
reaching his 1,000 subscribers.
1,000, and we also had Danny Max on, Drew
Yep.
Christopher, Rex. I know you're. This is probably Rex right here. It's got to be. That's my
No, that
my
was me.
gamble.
That was me.
That was you.
That was me.
All right, I got it wrong. I know Rex is watching though. I just want to go back though, real quick, not to spoil all that stuff, but the drone, the 360 drone, a couple years ago, I think I saw it, and was it tethered with a string when you first started?
We just had it going around a stuff. So in 2022, when we first launched it, when I was talking
Yeah,
about is this concept, we just had it going around a stuffed animal, and it wasn't landing. Landing is like always the toughest part. Can you land? And so this H here, what you print out on any printer,
here we go.
you put down on the table. and it's going to take off autonomously, do its 1, 2, or 3 circles,
Yeah.
whatever you want to program at a certain height there, and then land right on that H. 99% of the time. If it doesn't, there's ways to nudge it. But yeah, getting to that point where 99% of the time it was going to land right on that H or within a few inches was a huge deal. The other big hurdle that we came across towards late in the cycle was, all right, how much light do you really need? What if you're in a nightclub and you have one of these? Well, what can you do? And lighting on a DJI drone is somewhat important. 20 lux, if you have a light meter, is really what you need. And so we had to develop a whole little lighting accessory that you strap onto the drone,
Oh.
and it provides, you can be nearly pitch black, and it'll allow the drone to fly safely as well.
Oh,
So
that's
that was
cool.
another component. But usually people do bring their own ambient light at most 360 booths. So, the case that you don't, this accessory is an option.
That's really cool. Now, do we have video of that on with that light on your site and the demo yet, or do you have?
We do. One in that promo video at the top, one of them you'll see kind of lights coming down from it. What happens? There's cameras, forward cameras, there's downward cameras, and those downward cameras can't track the ground unless there's light pointing down. So yeah, in this video here, there's a darker scene in here that you'll see light. We only had the downward lights on. We don't have the forward lights on, but probably let's see,
Probably the
a
next
little
one.
later here.
Yeah, let's take a
There's
look. Let's
enough
see.
light in this room. It was fine. I think the next scene here, well, the lights are on here because they want to be able to traverse this. But I think if not, I can definitely link it. But I don't think it. If you
It's
scroll
pretty.
down, on the page, you can see what it looks like with the lighting gear on it. You scroll down a little bit
All right.
to
Oh, this
one
one.
more down, one more down. Keep on down. Keep going down. Right there, that picture there
Oh, okay,
it
right
has
there. Yeah, yeah.
lighting gear.
If I click on it, can we see it? There's a light accessory. Got it.
Yeah. So
Try.
it provides a lot of light. It lasts about a little over an hour, and then it takes 20 minutes to charge. So you have 2 sets of lights. But again, 20 lux is pretty low light. I very rarely are you in an event environment where it's that dark unless it's at night.
Okay.
Right.
Um. So this is all available now. FAA compliant. Do you have to have any licenses to fly this thing at all?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I know when we first introduced it in a year and a half ago at PBX, that was like the big argument. And and obviously we weren't going to take this on, and we said 6 months of research, is this even a viable option? But yeah, once you're indoors, and this is almost true in all countries, FAA or whatever government regulations operates above the building, right? This your house is not airspace, right? So
Uh-huh.
as long as you're in an enclosure or a building, you're operating outside of AA jurisdiction, FAA jurisdiction. And so there are some quick steps. One big thing is always insurance, right? So there is a drone insurance requirement. It's not very high cost for the year. So we do require that for our U.S. users. And then some other requirements if you're outside the U.S. that we vet out. But nevertheless, the other big thing, as you notice, is in addition to getting insurance, is the prop guards, right? So this is a
Oh yeah.
requirement whenever you're flying indoors. This provides really maximum protection from somebody. I mean, during development, we put our fingers in these blades. I mean, the worst issue we ever had was a little paper cut.
Yeah.
So
I've got a
nothing.
little drone that I bought for my kid, and like one of the $100 ones, and it spins pretty fast. But yeah, my finger hit it; it didn't hurt. So these things are pretty darn safe for the most part. But they make you
Yeah, they're
put those
8 ounces.
on.
They're half a pound. So yeah.
Cool. We do have some people watching. If anybody has any questions, we can go back to the 360 drone at any point. Um,
We
do
can
you
get the other
want?
polarizing product, the Sketchbots, if you like, or wherever you want to go, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hit on the sketch box. Let me go ahead and show a little bit again of what that is, and then we'll show a live demo here. So I just literally sent this to my long play relationship. I just sent them your site. I said, look at this. Um, it's fantastic. I mean, as you guys can see here, that is pretty darn amazing. And I did a video. So if you guys go on the Photo Booth Magazine website or on our channel, I interviewed you and we did a live demonstration where you took my picture. I don't know, was it my picture or Ross's picture? Can't remember. We took both, but anyway, we recorded it. And it was great. It was fantastic. So let's see. Let's see your demonstration here live on the show.
Yeah, let's roll the dice here. So you sent me your picture earlier, just because I've done this once or twice before and tried to take a picture of the screen, and it's just really hard. So this is what you sent me here, maybe an hour or so ago. So yeah, I
People
guess
don't know is Art's actually holding up a sign with numbers underneath it. It says Delaware County Prison, but
right,
it's just
exactly, yes.
one of those nights. Have you seen this man?
Right, yeah, it's a good mugshot. What did you take that on, Art? By the way, is this your phone?
I did, and I had my personal sketch artist do this one. We'll see if it's better.
All right.
Yeah, I got some serious technology here too. No, let's see it. Yeah, so I use my
All
phone.
right, let's do
Really
it.
good design of me there.
I
Art.
did, I was like, man, I gotta take a pic. I don't have that many selfies. I don't do a whole lot of selfies where it's just me. So I took one in the kitchen while I was making dinner, and then you said no, make it square. So I took that picture and I put it in Photo Room is one of the apps that I use, and that made it square. I was like, all right, hopefully this works. So then it was taken tonight. So let's see.
Yeah, good. No, I mean the big thing here is people using the software are right now and a lot of success, but taking photos close up. And on our new version of the iPad app that comes with the software, it has a nice silhouette, really to make sure that the face is cropped in tight. Because you imagine
Hmm.
if you get a distant shot, now all your features are really small, and it's just tough when your face is really small to get all that extra detail. So up close photos are a requirement, and we're making the software smarter to maybe do some auto crops. But right now, having that addition of that silhouette, whether you're in photo booth mode, taking a photo, in a kind of selfie photo booth mode, or a photographer mode, getting that nice frame face in that silhouette is important. So let me go ahead here. I'll tilt the camera. Let me cue up that photo here.
Yeah. So it's like waving right now. And you, by the way, you did a great tutorial video, which I think people should see. So this is what's it doing right now?
It is drawing.
It's drawing. Okay.
It's drawing that second picture that you hold up.
It's drawing up a non-disclosure agreement that I'm gonna have to sign and not tell anybody anything about this ever again.
I'm not sure if
It's sketching.
I'll hold it up.
So I'd say we're probably like 20 seconds in or so.
All right.
Give or take.
30 seconds. So let me pull it off the
Yeah, that was about 30
platform here.
seconds.
Yeah. So for those that couldn't quite see it,
Yeah.
there you are. And let's compare it
All right.
to the original here. I'll pull back, see if I can get these both in the shot. There we
Yeah,
go.
that's good. My hair's throwing my hair. I didn't think I was gonna be able to get with the hair that I had, but that's pretty good, man.
Yeah, not bad. It definitely resembles you quite a bit. Now, again,
It's good.
we're always we're always training it to be better, right? I mean, you can imagine just the amount of like everybody's hair, beards.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much differentiating features between every person that right now we have a library of close to 9,000 or a little over 9,000, and as we do our events, and even we've working right now. I think we have at least 20 to 30 users that are have purchased the software and are actually starting to use it. They're sending us, hey, for some reason, this person was enjoying their experience, but it didn't turn out well, and they're sending us. We're retraining it. So
Mm-hmm.
every few months, we're releasing a new package that has more knowledge of how to draw somebody. So if I was to feed you through again, you would actually get drawn a little different even this time, because it's actually kind of thinking how to draw you. It's not like a Photoshop filter where it's just doing,
Yeah.
trying to do lines. It's actually figuring out, all right, from my database of knowledge of how to draw glasses or hair like that, how can I draw that quickly enough to get the idea of your hair or your glasses? And again, it's doing that every time. So you're getting if I do it again, you'll look a little different, which is kind of cool. You're just as if you were to draw yourself. If I were to draw you 2 or 3 times, it'd be a little different each time.
Yeah, what I like about that is the fact is the speed of 30 seconds allows you to do that a couple times with the client. Because these pieces of paper don't cost a whole lot. You're talking pennies for a piece of paper. And that's and say, so all right, let's try it again. So
Right, and nobody has attention span I mean, I remember, before DNP printers, it was quite a wait to for like an inkjet printer to print something out at high quality, and so it's like 30 seconds feels like 5 minutes sometimes when somebody's waiting for the photo. The same holds true. If we couldn't get it under 45 to 50 seconds was the absolute highest, and sometimes it approaches there with somebody with really long hair and lots of waves, and they may have lots of features. Like we may get close to 45 seconds, but we would never get we don't allow it ever to get past that 50-second mark. And then what it also allows you to do, we had this is another one here. This
mhm,
is Emma Watson with one of our
yeah,
go-to sketches. But you can also have the Sketchbot draw really dark in this room for.
it's all right. We see it.
Um,
The
there you go.
logo.
And here's the Amazon logo. So the Sketchbot can do simple things. So having this done quickly allows you now to spend a little more time maybe doing a specific logo or branding if you want to do that.
I like the
Another cool thing
pre-printed.
that we've done at events where we put some color pencils out or color markers, I'm sorry, and people will color in their sketch.
Yeah.
So I think that might be Dolly Parton. But yeah, so the getting getting hats to work out was always an interesting comp, and there's so many different types of hats. So we
Yeah.
spent probably a month just having our artists sketch out different types of hats, so it had enough information of how to draw like a cowboy hat or a baseball cap or whatever it might be.
I think it's amazing, and a lot of people don't realize how much effort and time and brain power and manpower it takes to put something like this, something like Picture Mosaics, something like 360 Drone together, because this is hours and hours of looking at code, tweaking code, and staring at a screen of numbers and letters and lines of stuff that is to me boring as hell, and you guys do it. But people don't realize it, like how much time is put in there. Like, oh, it does this, it does that. It's like, do you realize how much time these guys have spent sitting in front of a computer screen and with all different types of technology mashing this thing together that's never been really tackled before? It's pretty amazing stuff, and the fact that you're doing it between 30 to 50 seconds with the output that you just did tonight is pretty outstanding and amazing. So hats off.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I mean the Sketchbots. We started that effort in 2019, I believe. It was like a 3.5 year effort. I mean, you just think about it, just the hardware component and getting the right manufacturer to work with us to make sure it can be fast enough. And then obviously the software. I mean, this is can you even do this? I mean, is it even possible? And we had all sorts of crazy contraptions. I mean, the very first version of this, we had this big robot on the wall that would draw sketches on the wall, and that was kind of our first iteration of it. It ended up being way too much work to set something like that up. So the amount of iterations, and we have about 5 developers, full time. Our right now, Mosaics, around 14 or 15 people of employees, and then we have about 20 different contractors helping execute some of our events. And so, yeah, it was a gamble when you have that many developers working on a product and it doesn't pan out, or you go down the wrong path. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah,
We
developers are not
spent
cheap.
6 months going down the wrong path. We just wasted a ton of money, development and cycles. We could have been doing something else. So when you get to the point where it's the aha moment when you get that step function, you don't have something and you do have something and it's working. It's pretty magical. It's what keeps me excited to wake up every day.
Yeah, and I think this has been an awesome show. I think this is really a fantastic story for everybody to really listen to what's happened here. I mean, you have it's coming with up ideas. It is not giving up. It is working until you have an idea to make that dream come true, and work through these problems and solve problems and differentiate yourself. You've
Yeah, and you don't have to
climbed
be
three
you don't have to be
mountains.
a developer. I mean, to your point, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, it's realistic. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Art, but yeah, you
No,
don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's simply, hey, with my knowledge and my background, hey, what's as you mentioned, the special sauce or special ingredient can I add to this that is going to make it a little more unique? I think is really to me the fun of it, right? So yeah, I think you nailed it.
so every time that you are working on these products and coming up with the next products, secretly there's a little kid inside of you playing the lemonade game
Yeah,
every time.
you got
Which
it.
Well, I
brings me
think you
to
got the right balance, the right street, and the right mixture going on right now because you're really you are ahead of the curve. And what's interesting, a lot of the talk this year were about the glam bots and things like that, and your Sketchbot was just one of the most unique items there. Displays that were set up that was working and people were loving it. So, hats off to you for being unique and thinking outside the box for the industry.
yeah.
Because there's so many ways that you could take this if you know how to pivot your business. The Sketchbot, the 360 drone, and the mosaics. These are just incredible add-ons for not just for photo booths, but for photographers or DJs, and you know, there isn't a huge learning curve from what I saw and from the discussions that I've had with people. That there isn't a huge learning curve to kind of learn this to make it your own.
100%. And I'll add to that is, you think of it as an add-on, which it definitely can be to you if your main service, but it could be, hey, I have my photo booth option here, and I have this cool other activation that really is a sold other product. I mean, you don't always. I mean, I don't know. Just this food for thought is add-ons when everything an add-on, it's like, all right, here's my photo booth offering at X dollars. Well, can my add-on, how much more can my add-on be if I'm considering it an add-on? But if you pitch it the other way around, where, hey, I'm going to pitch the Sketchbot as this activation, and then
Hmm.
I'm going to, maybe this is a crazy concept, my photo booth is the add-on. I
That's
don't know.
right.
It's just another way to think about it, right?
That's what I'm hoping to see. I mean, like, I'm going to try this out, and what I look at your products as is something that can build somebody into that activation type business that gets you in the door, right? You're now part of the conversation because you know this product or that you have this offering that no one else has that is so far above and beyond a simple photo booth. It just is. That's what I'm hoping to see out of this, in all honesty. So I love it. Yeah.
So, Al, any parting words that you can bestow on people that are wanting to something that's unique, that words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
I know that
Um,
wasn't in our agenda. Sorry, I'm just throwing that
Or
out there.
advice for kids.
Yeah, no, that's I think, yeah, that's a good point. And so I mean, if you do have, I mean, I look back at my path through where I've come, and I studied to be an engineer and how I got to where I am now. Everything that I built was due to a toy or technology that had it been exposed to, and had I not asked for Christmas for that 1 megapixel digital camera and played around with it, you know, Picture Mosaics would never have been born. Like, I wouldn't have mass photos. It wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have had those engines turning. So, that exposure of this toy, and this is where, you mentioned kids. If you have kids, expose them to as much things as you can. And I know maybe, hey, that's spoiling them, but if you look at the other side of it, well, yeah, but they're getting so much more cool experiences to build upon, and draw from, right? I mean, you can only if you're coming up with a path or an idea, you can only draw from what you know, right? You can't, like, somebody else knows it, you can't draw from that. So then you fast forward to the 360 drone booth. I got really involved with drones. I think I have amassed probably 8 or 9 drones. I'm like, all right, well, here's a technology. Can I marry it with this? Heck, that sounds crazy, but maybe we can. And the Sketchbots more or less are a 3D printer. And the 3D printer, I think we have about 30 of them in our office. We manufacture our own printers for our live print mosaics. They're called the Pro X1. And we actually manufacture that in-house with you build printers with 3D printers. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, using that technology, all right, can we have a 3D printer, that's, the Sketchbot here, draw in an interesting way? So yeah, that's a good finishing comment there is, hey, if you can never stop learning. So expose yourself to as much as you can, because that is going to feed into your creative cycle. And I think that's always a good thing for kids as well.
Very good.
Cool. Awesome, guys. It's been a super pleasure chatting and being finally part of this the Photo Booth magazine. This is awesome.
Dude, thank you so much. Again, I know that you are busy with programmers testing out your own gadgets that you're inventing in your special secret lab somewhere. I can't wait to see.
Is there any hint about changes coming out? Something we should be looking for either Sketchbot or the 360?
Or Picture Mosaics?
Yeah, I teased a little bit of hey, can we remove the huge $30,000 arm and do it with the drone? So I'll tease that a little bit. I mean, that still has a long roadmap of feasibility and how quickly we can really make the drone move and record at a high frame rate. But yeah, I'll keep the Sketchbot. We have a really fun roadmap, and in the next 2 years, where that's going to go will blow your mind. So we're super excited. So I can't tease that too much because we're to keep them secrets for now.
That's fine. That's fine. Listen,
I knew there was a secret lab, Dave. Why is the secret lab?
That's right. Fingerprints, like eyeball scan, and yeah, you can't get in unless you have the secret code.
Oh my gosh!
Instead of the back cave, it's the owl cave.
Or
the alcove.
There you go.
Cool. Well, Al, thank you so much for coming on. I'll probably see you in a few weeks. I'm going to check out the Sketchbot and probably some other stuff too while we meet up. Dave, any parting messages other than, hey, people who are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. It's getting up there. We actually have like over 200. Oh, and one more thing. Your Sketchbot video is the most watched video on our channel.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, it's polarizing, and polarizing things, people either like to hate it or like to love it. So I
hats off. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. We don't know who we're going to have on. We'll figure it out. And as soon as we figure that out, we'll let you know. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Dave, Al, let's sign off.
Have a good one.